Hear ye, hear ye. I am the RuffledRowlit, and today I'm gonna drink me water. That's disgusting because it's not cold. Either way, ladies and gentlemen, it's your boy with the greatest nation in the world. Back with a brand new video, guys. Today, we got some rumors, we got some theories. Today's a mixture of content. It's a mixture of things, okay? We're mixing together some things. We're mixing together a rumor and a theory into one video and talking about them because they kind of mention different things, but it's kind of fun to talk about them. So, let's talk about what we have today, guys. But of course, as per usual, drop a like down below if you enjoyed the video. Let's see if we can hit, I don't know, man, 500 likes. If we can hit that, I'd be happy. I'd be appreciative of that if you guys could. Also subscribe, check out my Instagram, check out my Twitter, all that sort of stuff. Either way, let's get into the actual information, ladies and gentlemen, starting with the rumor first. So, again, your home dog Sheely here, coming through with the help, as always, appreciate it, with the rumor, as well as the theory over here. So let's start with the actual rumor first, because I think the rumors are kind of like easier to go through in the beginning here. So let's start with that. So the guy is basically, calls his post here, Real Leaks, and his name is VYWKF, which I guess is some sort of joke. I'm not so sure what that's meant to be, though. I guess it's supposed to be some sort of insult, maybe, because they always hide that sort of stuff in their names, but it is what it is, though. So, here's what he says, though. Prepare Sword and Shield, and then it says, his game focused on sport. Let's call it this way to make it understandable. So, I mean, that makes sense already, because we already got this football stadium thing going on in these games, which you guys have already seen. I mean, I don't think there's really anything strange about that, or anything out of the, out of the ordinary or out of the already existing equation. We're already kind of aware of this. I think most of you guys, including the audience that are watching me right now, I think most of you already know this. These games are having a lot of influence of British, like, sports, you know what I mean? So, football is going to have, of course, a lot of influence, aka soccer. So, yeah, either way, there'll be a few references to old games, just those strictly necessary, to make the plot of these new games complete. On the other hand, we'll have many hints on the history of the Galar region and their legendary Pokemon. Well, that is kind of... How do I put this? This is like non-information. Think about this, right? This is very much non-information, because we already know there's going to be references to the old games. That's guaranteed, okay? It's like saying, how do I put this? I don't know, man. This is like saying that water's wet, almost. You know what I mean? Like, no shit, Sherlock, basically. It's like, we know this already. This is kind of like straightforward. We already know there's going to be hints and stuff and history-related stuff about the Galar region in these games, because it is in the Galar region. And of course there'll be references to the old games. There's really nothing here that's strictly to me saying that this has got any major information to it, but who am I to say? Now, it continues on saying here that catching and battling works like always. Don't hope for overworld feature, which I think I've already talked about this a little bit. Overworld Pokemon is just not going to happen. I don't think you should really, think about that too much anymore. Just leave that in the past. It's not happening. It is what it is. It's already what, it is what you've seen, and I don't think there's really much else to it. It's kind of... what you see is what you get. Let's just put it that way. It basically, that's how it is. It's like, what you see is what you get, and there's not much else to it. It's pretty straightforward. The Pokemon Meltan will be in these games, bringing something extra. Now, what will that extra be? I don't know. Again, it's being super vague. This Generation 8 is complete innovation. Alright? Especially the new battle system for those stadium gyms that will be treated as a peculiarity of Sword and Shield. If it's taken seriously well by the fans, the possibility of inserting it in the future games as well as standard feature is not excluded, which wouldn't be surprising if people do enjoy it. The battle system is based on a 3 versus 3, positioning changes everything since it's possible to create various scenarios during a battle, which brings different buffs in, like defense or attack for both players, added a whole new... minus bar for the entire team, 3 phases instead of 2, which is choosing moves / animations, and a 4th one treated as a powerful attack that can only be used in certain difficult situations, but also more than once in battle. Now, this is actually repeating information from another rumor I've seen, if I'm going to be honest. This is actually pretty similar to another rumor. Avoiding moves is something possible through a specific positioning. Critical hits can be done with a greater possibility if a team meets certain criteria. Both avoiding and critical percentages are always very low, so nothing is broken at all. And this all this results in a more longive battle, thanks to continuous buffs and stats that can be changed through turns. Now, here's the interesting thing, right? This rumor is almost identical to another one. Now, it is different. You may think like, I feel like I've seen this. This is very similar to another rumor I've covered, but it is different, though, in some aspects. There is some stuff here that's different. Which is interesting. Which also, I think this one could be real. And the reason I say that is because here's the thing, right? This reminds me of Bakir. I talked about this the other day. I think I mentioned this in another video that I did about how Bakir, like the sport in one of the Pokemon movies about Zoroark, how that might have a connection to the actual games. And that game, that like Bakir, requires 3 Pokemon. You have a team of 3 Pokemon that are all from the same evolutionary line, right? And that's what you use. And this here like suggests that you would use like you would have a team of like an entire team, and you would have 3 different phases, right? And it would be a battle system that's based on a 3 versus 3 type of deal, which would be pretty cool. That would actually be a really interesting change to the battle system in the whole game if they decide to go that path. Like, think about that for a minute. Like, that is very like different from anything we've ever seen before for Pokemon. If they went down that path, it would genuinely be, I think, the biggest change we've ever seen to a Pokemon game. Because, like, sure, like, you know, with, like, Totem Pokemon and Island challenges in, like, Alola, there was, of course, a big change, you know, it was a big leap, it was a different style, but it still had an underlying feeling like it was very connected to each other, like, you know, when you take on the Kahunas and whatnot, it still gave you this feeling of, like, gym battles and the Totem Pokemon, like, you know, it had this feeling of still being, like a lesser version of normal gyms. Like, that's how it felt like. This is totally different, though. This would actually change the total format of how you do your battles. Sure, you still have gyms with different typings to them, but the actual way you battle them would be inherently, you know, different. It just, that's how it seems like. It would be inherently different of a format, which would be truly interesting. So that's what they mentioned there. But yeah, that's the rumor, though. So I think I've kind of read a similar rumor that was exactly similar, like very similar to this. I think it's actually may even be the same one, but this one's got a few different things mentioned here that the other one didn't. Because I think the bottom part here is slightly different, but overall it's a pretty similar rumor. It's pretty similar, and I think the last time I talked about this one, I did say that it's a little bit weird if they decided to make the battles more long. This one just says Long Eve here, which the other one said I think battles are prolonged and longer in general, which would be a little bit weird. So I'm not sure if there is a change in battles and making them, you know, like more continuously longer. That would be actually pretty interesting. So I don't know, man. It's an interesting subject, though. But let's go over to the next rumor here, though, which is coming also from Shili, saying that this theory is very interesting. So here's what this one mentions, is that Zemus or Mega Evolutions, they both require a bond between the trainer and Pokemon, except legendaries, of course. Now, this new mechanic that is hinted at would work the same way. It would require a bond of some kind. Now, if Armored Evolution is a thing in Sword and Shield, then it may have only been around roughly the same amount of time as Mega Evolutions, which would make sense. The origins being similar, as I believe AZ's machine is the key to answering the Megastone question, which I think is pretty obvious. Pokemon Life Force makes a Megastone, and Human Life makes Keystones. Human and Pokemon Life Force add in AZ's weapons, add the Moon Dial energy that flows through Kalos, and over the time, the stones are formed. Now, Human and Pokemon Life Force add in a Galar influence along with the another dial, and we get Armored Evolutions. Perhaps, or he said perhaps, but perhaps using metal from the armor worn by humans and Pokemon during the Kalos War, which would be actually making a lot of sense. With Mewtwo's being modern as it was artificially created in Galar. Now, I don't think it was created in Galar. I mean, maybe it was, because honestly, Pokemon at this point doesn't have a consistent lore. I mean, if you look at Pokemon's lore throughout, like, you know, history and how we've kind of, like, you know, how it's been formed across time, right? It hasn't been a consistent type of deal. It's been very back and forth and very inconsistent, right? Timeline splits, you know, nothing really makes too much sense. It's kind of hard to put up a proper timeline for all the Pokemon games. I know some people have tried to, but let's be honest, there is no way to, like, a concrete kind of, like, way to put them together, because they actually split into different timelines, which is instantly a problem in itself, because just think about that for a minute now. The moment you split these things into different timelines, you mess up a lot of things, and it, like, different timelines create a lot of different issues, okay? And that's the problem with Pokemon. So I'm not sure about the whole Mewtwo being, you know, the artificial version, like, you know, the more modern, like, you know, version of, like, you know, Galar kind of Armored Evolution, you know, his armor being kind of, like, artificially made, and, you know, like, it's more with, you know, more tech in it. I'm not sure that's what we're gonna see. I think, if anything, I mean, I don't know, man. It's a really strange one, because the problem with Armored Evolutions is, which I talked about the other day when it was sent to me by a viewer by the name of Jerry. Now, Jerry said specifically that, you know, it would make no sense, because from an artistic point of view and from a gameplay point of view, if you gain armor, the most logical typing to be gained from that would be Steel typing, right? But if every Pokemon that had an Armored Evolution gained Steel typing, that would kind of break everything, right? That would kind of break the flow of the game and how everything works, because if all these, like, I mean, what would be the point, right? If you use a fire type against one of those things, you know, it instantly kind of diminishes any effect that the armor would give you, right? If you get that steel typing. So I think rather what's going to happen is that the armored evolutions doesn't mean you're going to get armor like of an actual soldier armor, but rather the Pokemon will just get bulkier and almost like, it will work like a Mega Evolution, if anything, right? I think this is just like Mega Evolutions and armored evolutions, if armored evolutions are real, by the way, which we don't know yet. If they are real, I think they're going to be the same thing. I think Mega Evolutions and Armored Evolutions are going to be the same thing. The only difference with Armored Evolutions is that maybe they, you know, they'll be different between, like, you know, Pokemon Sword and Pokemon Shield, and maybe they won't be called Armored Evolutions, but maybe Shield and Sword forms, right? Or Sword and Shield forms. And they'll probably just increase stats a bit more, you know, in one way or another, right? Like this, maybe the sword ones will increase attack, and the you know, the shield ones will increase defense. I mean, it's kind of hard to put, man. Like putting this together and trying to, like, you know, make it all connect is pretty hard. But ladies and gentlemen, I want to know your opinions and thoughts. What do you think about the first rumor? What do you think about the theory? What are your thoughts? What are your opinions? Let me know in the comment section down below. And thank you so much for watching, guys. Also, if you want to check out our shirt designs that are still on sale, please do so. They're going to be linked down below as per usual. Also, if you want to support the channel and extra, you know, just go an extra mile, then you can check out the Patreon. If you do, you know, want to go the extra mile, that's there, but you don't need to. Either way, thanks so much for watching. Drop a like down below, subscribe for future videos, and I'll catch you all in the next one. Bye bye, ladies and gentlemen. Peace.